missed my live over on Instagram, you know that I mentioned a few textbook resources that I found that were great candidates for middle school. So I promised that I was going to show you guys inside, so this is it. Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene and Company. As I said before, I am going to be showing you inside Journeys. This is from Harcourt. I always can't pronounce the whole thing. I think it's Houghton, Mifflin, and Harcourt. Well, they're now abbreviated. HMH is usually what you find them for. But this is one of the resources that I found that it is a textbook. It is used in traditional school settings. However, the way that this is formatted is a happy medium for me. So today I'm going to be focusing, obviously on this channel, I like to put a lot of focus on middle school and up because that's where the stage where we are, and that's where I find that it's really hard to find a lot of feedback on resources. So that's where I like to focus. However, I have a lot of more of the components of this program for 5th grade. So I am also going to show you how it progresses from grade 5 to grade 6. So you can see a comparison of it if you want to use it in the lower grades, or this is an option for you. Know that this program is tailored for K through 6, so you can find those for those specific grades. After 6th grade, it switches over to something else. Do I have that something else? Yes, I do too. That will be on a future video, and we'll have some more comparisons with other traditional type of resources, textbooks that kind of thrive in this area, or this is something that just fits wherever season you're in right now. So I have multiple components to this. I will tell you where I sourced the pieces of it, because it's not hard, but it's not super easy. And I can direct you over to Rainbow Resources. They used to have the complete bundle. Harcourt used to supply them with a homeschool bundle, and it had the complete bundle for the language arts. Now, if you look at that, it will probably look very scary to you because there's quite a bit of components in it. But keep in mind, this was structured for a classroom setting. Is it easily adoptable for the home setting? Absolutely. So you may not need absolutely everything on there. I do have some of those extras, and I could give you my opinion if I feel like it was a worthwhile investment in adding those components or not. One of the things that is going to be difficult to source if you go with Journeys, this is the student textbook. Again, this is grade 5 and this one is grade 6, is the teacher guides. Now the teacher guides, I have seen videos of it, like from classroom teachers and the online base that they had before. Is a lot of like pacing and obviously extra information, and of course you're going to have your answer keys on there. If you're able to decipher what are the correct answers based on the examples and everything that I walked them through it in the student text, then you should be perfectly fine without those. They are very difficult to find. You may find them on eBay. I did not go that crazy going all over the place trying to find it, because I'm fine. Language arts is actually one of my strengths. So how this is written and how it's formatted, I'm perfectly fine not needing that component. So let's go ahead and focus right now for a little bit on grade 6. So I have the student textbook, and this student textbook is the 2017 edition. Based on my research, 2017 was the last, is the most current edition for Journeys. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe find anything else, but from their website and everything else, that's what I found. If you're a classroom teacher or have the facility to go ahead and order this, then it's a lot easier for you to get the whole entire package, but they're quite a bit different than what Rainbow Resource used to have it. So this is the copyright 2017 version. So you have the student textbook, you have teacher guides that are divided into different units, and a lot of that you can also source on their online database of the Think Central, which I do not have access to because I'm a RN, not a certified teacher. Like one of the times that you're just like, dang it, I need a teacher license. There also is the reader's notebook. There's a writing handbook. This is the notebook, and then I have the teacher guides for that. Then this is the close reader, and I'm going to show you inside all of those things as well. This is gonna be a lengthy review, you guys. There's a lot of components that I'm gonna go over, plus I'm gonna compare grade 5 and 6 for you, so grab a snack, streaming on your TV, whatever you like to do. I also want to show you some of their intervention and assessments type or diagnostic assessment tools that comes with the journeys, or that you can source as well, and see if you want to track these down. Know that most of these things I've purchased from thrift books, and some items were still available individually listed with Rainbow Resource. So that's how I pieced it together, all the pieces that I needed or I was comfortable having. So there's this performance assessment, there's these diagnostic assessment and intervention assessment. I'll show you all that at the end so you can get an idea if that's something that you feel will be useful to you. So when you first start, and like I said, this is grade 6, you're going to have these separated into units. You are going to have, in this particular grade 6, you're gonna have a total of 25 lessons. However, you have all these additional tools that you're gonna be reinforcing a lot of the aspects that you're learning here. This is like your all-in-one text. This is like, I don't know, like 800 pages deep or something. Everything is in here, and then you have the extra practice book for different elements and different things that you like to do. Now, they have these separated also, like if classroom teachers at small groups or have to do some remediation or some interventions and things like that, then they have these additional resources that comes with the journeys. Now, I can't speak for the lower levels. Again, I am just showing you grade 5 and 6. Connection is the first theme. Each one has an individual theme. Journeys, what's really nice about Journeys is that you still have literature that is tied into, and everything stems from it. Your vocabulary, your comprehension, your like going deeper and going through rabbit holes is all based on the literature. The difference is that you do not have to read the entire book to be able to do the assignments and the summaries and things like that. There are like source texts such as IEW that you will have like a page to read, and then you do your stuff based on that. Vocabulary and context, read and comprehend. You're gonna have some comparisons within the same lessons. Then you're gonna have the whatever different genre. This is gonna go through different ones. So you have like realistic fiction, short story, autobiography, poetry, informational text, science fiction, reader's theater, biography, literary nonfiction. You have a bit of everything that is gonna be sourced in here, and I'm gonna compare how it looks on grade 5. So you can see here the pictures. So if your kiddo really like took to whatever passage or portion that they got to read of the book in their textbook, and they want to read the entire book, you will be able to see exactly what books to grab, and they can do that for independent reading. So that's up to you to go ahead and do. At the end, you're gonna have a performance task for each section as well. And what's great about it is that it sets them up from the very beginning to say, hey, this is what's gonna be the expectation, and this is what's gonna be your assignment at the end of this lesson. So they already have that framework and know this is what's expected of me, so I can start taking notes, or my way or whatever way that I'm being taught, to be able to do the assignment at the end. Has like it starts there an introduction with be a reading detective, and it talks to them directly to the kiddo. So you know how to find evidence, draw inferences from the clues you gather, and ask a lot of questions. And then it has this setup. Now there is these little icons throughout. That's if you have access to their little online platform part. I do not. I do have access to some portion of it, and I'll stream that up here right now so you can take a look at it. For each individual lessons or units, there's some extensions online that you are able to access, additional articles and different information, things that dealt with the topic, and that is a really cool resource. But there is some extra things like My Notebook and things like that that you won't have access to unless you are, you know, a certified teacher that have access to icons. You'll probably have to ignore, or just go ahead and do it in a physical writing format. So like add new words to my word list. So you're gonna have to write it on, or maybe you just go ahead and have your kids type things up. So here, for example, for lesson 1, you start with your vocabulary in context. I really like how they do this, because not only do they have a pictorial reference for the word, they have an example, you know, basically a sentence, and then, you know, the definition of the word. And then you can play around with this in many which way. I'm going to show you some of the other materials where this also can be tied in, and then where you can draw in some spelling as well. So here it talks about the language detector, talk about writer's words, work with a partner, choose 3 vocabularies, modify these sentences below the words to describe the photographs in more detail. So you can do all kinds of different things with the vocabulary words. And then what's cool about it is that you see it yellow highlighted here. So when they get to the story, the words that are part of their vocabulary is actually highlighted. So it, you know, has that nice little recall. I say, oh, this is one of my vocabulary words, and they can see how it's used in context in that piece of literature. Then you have like your first spread out. So this is a lesson. It's not going to say day 1 do this, day 2 do that, unless you get a hand on the teacher guides, and then they have like this pacing and things like that there. I am one that I've always like rewritten how things are structured for me in scripted curricula, so I'm totally fine not having it. The reason I say even with the not knowing like having an answer key, they give so many examples within the text that it's really easy for you to determine, you as a parent, you as a teacher, that what is the correct answer. So read and comprehend. So it has a chart for them to go ahead and read the text and summarize what they need to summarize, or draw out from the text whatever they need to do. So you're going to preview the topic of what the topic is about for that particular text. You're going to talk about it. You can do it like, you know, orally. If you have a lot of kiddos, they can do it amongst themselves, or they can do it with you. Then here you have the anchor text. So this is your anchor text. This is the first one you're going to see. It's going to go right here and show you the genre, and it's going to explain that genre and give you an example of what that is. You're going to have the meet the author section, and then you're going to have the meet the illustrator section. This is very colorful throughout. It's, you know, very vivid all over the place. And then you have these little boxes of questions that is going to kind of make them stop and think about as they're going through it. And if you choose to have them write it out as additional stuff, then that's up to you. Analyze the text. So they have like different parts, like especially like you know, just prompt questions, or maybe it has to do with grammar or whatever or not, and they just read this portion. So this is the anchor text for this, which is part of that particular story, and you can see that analyze the text here. And that one was one of the little bit longer ones than the 5th grade one. The 5th grade one has also some long stories as well, but that's only a few pages. So they are not required to read the whole entire book to be able to do the assignment. And that could be very beneficial if you have multiple kiddos and multiple levels, and you're just like, you know, I can't possibly read everything to my kiddo, and they're not at a stage that they're reading all these. Dig deeper, being a reading detective, use clues to analyze the text, understanding the characters, and then here is going to pull out some literary elements, so like dialogue and similes, and then it may pull out like, you know, some grammar aspects or anything like that. Then you're going to have the section that says your turn, so you're going to turn and talk. So either they're going to do leans or whatever not, or class and conversation. You don't have to do absolutely every part, but I'm just going to want to show you how it flows. Developing characters and author's creation, and talks about those different literary elements. So I know right now it looks like, okay, you got vocab, you got the literary parts, you got all that. How about the rest of language arts? Bear with me. All right, so then the performance task here is write about reading. Here is going to have that icon, because if you have access to the online platform, then you can go ahead and type it right on there. But that's not where it ends. So here you have another story. This is still lesson 1, and this is because you're gonna do some comparisons and things like that. So text focus is gonna talk about the description and as that, and then you're gonna go into the comparing the text. So text to text, text to self, write a character sketch. There's a lot of multi-sensory approach to journeys. It may look at a first glance that you're looking at a textbook, and it's just gonna be like fill in the blanks, those crossword puzzles that you had to do with things that, you know, just the annoying type of textbook type of thing. This is not it. Journey is like multi-sensory, and it really helps like them make a complete pictures for different types of learners, visual, kinesthetic, and everything else. So, you know, compare characters, write character sketch, text the world, and then brings like, you know, real life, like modern things into it. So that's why it was important for me to source the most current edition. That's what I look for if I'm buying used. So here you have the grammar component, the digital resources that they would have if they had the access. Is going to break down some review. Again, this is level lesson 1, so it's going to have some review. And then here, try below are sentences of fragments and run-ons. On another sheet of paper, correct and rewrite them as complete sentences. Errors in writing by combining fragments, and then it just talks about how you would fix it. And then this is what I absolutely adored. So here is, remember, you're going to have that performance text at the end. So here is the narrative writing that you're going to be doing. It not only tells them what to do, but it shows an example of a child's writing, like their first draft, and then shows what they corrected and what they inputted to make the sentence more fuller, more interesting, whatever it may be, and how they corrected it using those editing marks. So I appreciate how they can see, okay, this is the first draft. Oh, that sounded pretty cool, but look how he made it better, and then how he made it better. So writing checklist, development. Did I use precise words, strong verbs, adjectives to develop my writing? Purpose. Does my use of dialogue show my personality? Elaboration. Did I describe events clearly? Organization. Did I arrange events in time order? Did I use correct spelling, grammar, and punctuation? Did I combine sentences to avoid run-ons? So, and then reading as a writer. So here is the final report on here. So the final copy, and here's an example so they can see I use descriptive words and details to show how I felt about my experience. I also use transition words and phrases to show the sequence of events, and you have like the actual kids writing on here, and then telling you the details of what they did. Really appreciate being able to see all these elements and components. And reading as a writer, how does Isaiah reveal his thoughts and feelings? What details can you ask to describe your own thoughts and feelings about a personal experience? Examples of like, okay, here's a revised draft and here is a final copy, and then getting into the habit of that. So again, this continues on with the same flow, and then this changes out with diverse different types of stories and genres and everything else, and it has the same components throughout. And you're going to compare text, you're going to do the writing, you're going to do all those things, and it's going to break down different parts and different elements and different types of writing as well. And then this is what's cool, like the dig deeper. We didn't talk much about this. So the dig deeper part is going to pull like a certain part of the story. Like for example, I'm going to show you with the 5th grade one was a specific science experiments, and then it's going to have your kiddo try it out or do some kind of reading the performance task, and then you can look forward and see those examples that I told you about, and you can see it right here. So narrative writing, again, reading, writing workshop, pre-write, and then, you know, all this different elements of pre-write, draft, revise, edit, publish, and share. And then you go over that whole entire process. So let me show you real quick. As with most textbook, you'll find a glossary at the very end, so your kiddo can reference that, and with some pictures along with it and some full pronunciation key. But there is no answer key in the other elements that you can add to. So you have a closed reader, you have a reader notebook, you have a writing handbook. I'm just going to show you kind of like a mixture right now. But this is grade 5, and I can show you the reader's notebook in grade 6. You have the teacher guide and the writing handbook. With the writing handbook, this was a brand new copy. This one is the consumable one. And you have all the different parts that you correlate with your textbook. So this is going to correlate with grade 5. And go over the writing process, pre-writing, drafting, revision, editing, publishing, the writing traits, evidence, organization, purpose, elaboration, development, convection, writing workshop, technology, the research part, the test prep, and evaluations and checklists and things like that are going to be here. There's going to be some writing models and forms here as well. So it's going to have a little introduction of how to use this book, and this is something you can like just mix in during your week to have more of these writing elements and things like that, instead of just that performance task at the end, they can get this continual extra practice. So purposes of writing, again, to inform, to explain, to narrate, to persuade, and then goes from there, and then explains the writing process, especially if you, when you hit your tweens and teens, they don't understand having to rewrite their paper once they're done. They're one and done, and don't understand the draft, the revision, editing, and part of it, and it can be, crappy for kiddos. I know it was when we were young and had to redo things, but this is the great part where I would say it's a great time to let your kiddos type the paper, so if they can revise things, they can just go ahead and change in the text, instead of having to type everything or instead of having to write everything out all over again. So the writing traits checklist, and you'll see my son already did a couple of things here, so I'm going to skip forward right here. All right, so this is informational essay, and it explains the topics, part of informational essay. Then it breaks down the different elements of how you're going to do this, right? Introduction, the topic sentence, the body detail supports the main idea, the logical organization and details of the facts, and conclusions. And then it gives them some hints or other transitions, similarly, in addition, because of, for instance, clearly. And then it sets them up. So this little kind of treat it as a template. So you follow your teacher's directions, and this is going to come from here. But again, if you can't source this part, this is actually pretty easy to find. These two things are pretty easy to find. So one of the most important people in history of my state was, and then there's a whole bunch of blanks. First also, they have this transition words, so they can get used to it with some of the models being in there. It's almost like French style dictation, but it's their own words, where you kind of have to fill in the blanks, but they're helping them with the transition. So you have that in facts, as you can see, therefore writing the conclusion. So then here you do. So we do. The first part is we do. You do, and you do. So on a separate sheet of paper, use your plan to write an informational essay about an inkset or plant that can be found where you live. And this is going to correlate with whatever they're studying in their units as well. And then here you write an informational essay about a place you enjoy visiting. And there's a lot of writing opportunities. So you don't have to do absolutely everything, but there is quite a bit in these writing handbooks. I really do like these a lot, an awful lot. I really like them, and I think there's just, it's a little hidden gem here. And so especially if you have creative writing down pat, but not so much as structured writing, and other programs seems like a little bit too much, this is maybe a great a tool for you. So note-taking tools and different ways to take notes, checklists and all that jazz. And just let you see really quickly the teacher's handbook. So you can see it's going to have a copy of the page that you see in their handbook on there. It's going to go over your forms, so pre-writing for cause and effect, drafting cause and effect essay, and then teach, model, I do, we do, you do, and evaluate. And it's going to go over read aloud and discuss. Page 28, point out the cause and effects relationship. Is very, very scripted. So if this is not your strength, this resource is very, very scripted for you, and doesn't mean you have to do it as is, that you can't go on your own little realm. But it's spelled out. Extra stuff because this is made for classroom setting, right? But it's easy to adapt. Know that you don't have to do absolutely everything. And then focus straight, evidence. And then it goes from there. So you see all this here, and then it gives examples of what you're looking for as well. So you, as a teacher, as a grader, you can see what you're looking for. So that is the writing handbook. So with the extra components that I'm going to be pointing out, I'll let you know if yay or nay. This is one I definitely say yay, definitely source this one and grab it. Then you have the reader's notebook. Let me show you grade 6 for reader's notebook real quick. And then I'll show you how the teacher guide looks at it. So the reader's notebook, so you just saw the units that we saw here. Is going to correlate the same thing. So lesson 1, the school story, which is what we saw here. And then all the lessons correlate obviously with that, and you can just pull these out. There we go. All right. You're going to have some spelling words here as well. As you can see, this is correlating with lesson 8. There is these vocabulary words, and you're wondering, okay, where's the spelling words? Are they the same? You can definitely use a same spelling word if you don't want to get this notebook. But the reader's notebook gives you the extra practice in everything else. So you have the spelling words here. Again, this is correlating with lesson 8. You have write the basic work that best belongs to each group. Here's the spelling words. Here's a challenge. Spelling word sort. And then proofreading for spelling, and then has like the extra grammar practice and things like that. So conjunctions. Here you have compound sentence. Again, you have a little bit of writing or type of simple questions and more complex questions, and all that extra like work sheet type of questions that can follow up or be in addition to the regular student textbook. If you want to add those elements, you definitely can. So focus trait, expressing an opinion, gives an example, read the book review, answer the questions that follow, and then write a tip sheet. And then it has a mixture of different types of activities. This is not your common type of workbook. It has a very big mix of things in there. And then again, then you have a new spelling list to go along with each one, which will tie in very nicely with each lesson. So that is that. And then you have I don't have the grade 6 on hand with me of the teacher edition, but here's what the teacher edition notebook would look like. So in reference to yay or nay for the reader's notebook, I think it's really great to have, because as you can see, the student text has the grammar towards the end of the lesson. And even though you're going to play around with the grammar quite a bit with it throughout with the writing and stuff, I think it's great to have those extra like daily types of grammar practice. So you have here in the reader's notebook a copy of the pages, like 2 to a page on here, and you're going to have the answers to everything. Along with that, you know, like all your answers are going to be in here. So definitely would grab that, especially if grammar is not your forte. I would definitely grab the teacher edition of this. So the reader's notebook with the teacher edition, I say is a go. So definitely with that. And then here I have like the grade 5, but I'm not going to spend more time with that. Depending on where your kiddo is at, or if they need help with pulling specific content or reading comprehension, or like focusing on certain elements of a source text or story or things like that, and you find that they're going to need that extra practice, I think this is a great tool. And this is called the close reader. So this is the grade 6. I also have the close reader for grade 5, so you can take a look at a little bit of the difference. Again, they're going to be tied into each of your lessons. So here it's cultural connection. Remember, that was the theme for the first set of unit 1. So you have Frida, sporty poetry, history of the book, silent noise, and it just goes on. So finding your voice is your next unit, exploring your limits, and then it's just going to tie into that and go from there. So what you have here is not like the handbooks and the notebook that are black and white. This is a color notebook. Another sample. So here again, you have like a background on this, and with a prompt to get your kiddos thinking, setting a purpose, read the text and view the graphics to learn why people can't hear the communications of elephants and many other creatures. Here again, you have the close reads, and then it's going to highlight certain words that are can be vocabulary or definitions and things like that, like infrasonic. And here is going to give you an instruction as you read, collect, and cite text evidence. Underline clues that led Payne to think elephants were communicating even when they seemed to be silent. Circle the mystery Payne's discovery helped solve. And then here is going to say, notice how these are numbered, right? So it's going to send them back to a certain part, which almost reminds me of like the critical thinking, reading detective text. Reread lines 10 to 29, summarize what Payne discovered and the mystery of her discovery helped solve. I feel like if your kiddo needs this type of extra type of practice, this is a good resource to grab as well. So again, this is going to be different types of story that goes with the same theme, and you go from there. And again, it's a diverse pool of stories, just so you can see an example of the grade 5 one. Under Western Skies, as far as storytelling, all that jazz. It's just, I'm going to show you in just a little bit, but it's the same format. So if you're using this for a few years, or you're starting in the lower levels, it's the same format. Obviously the lower levels are going to have a lot of phonics focused things as well, whereas your upper levels are going to be focused more on the literary elements and understanding and comprehension. One of the other things that you can add, I only have one of these, they're called like the magazines, and these are different additional stories that you can go ahead and grab. Like this is for particular for Unit 6 for grade 6, and it's gonna have these additional stories that are high interest type of text. So if you need more types of mixtures for independent reading, these are great to grab as well. And it also fits the theme, right? So there is some prompts and some questions throughout these, but nothing that you really have to like sit down and do a whole bunch of assignments. So these are like high interest texts that you can go ahead and do. I really like them. There is some games and things like that, or activities that it recommends. Plan your museum, make a list of many extreme. It's still multi-sensory, so there is some activities and games and things like that it prompts them with these high interest topic texts. So I only grabbed one of them, and I really like it, and I used the high interest package from Evan Moore, and my kiddos always really enjoy those, so I'm going to go ahead and grab more of these. Which program we are going to end up using for our middle school kiddos is to be determined. You guys gonna have to come back and see what kind of combination, because as I mentioned before, I have quite a bit to show you of different textbook options that I went ahead and purchased to kind of investigate what we can do. And some of the stuff I really like it. I may end up combining some things, and you'll have to come back and make sure you're subscribed so you can see our curriculum picks and what we do. Performance assessment, these are close reading of complex text, writing the sources, argument, performance assessment practice. This is a grade 6 one. It goes over, for example, argumentative essay. So if you're someone like you've been looking for resources for a very specific type of writing, obviously it's included with Journeys, but this is for you to do some additional assessment and some practice. Analyze, and things like practice that. And perform. And these are things if like you like to do some kind of maybe like SAT preps type of things where they would have to write this type of essay, testing resource, and to see and gauge where your kiddo is at and areas. I like this one, the performance assessment. I do like this one. So is it absolutely necessary? No, but if you find a copy, I think this one was free for me because I had a lot of thrift book points, then I would grab that one. I have the diagnostic assessment. This one is from grades 1 to 6, phonetic awareness, text reading, comprehension, and decoding. This is another option. You will see. Okay, so I recommend that you go to Rainbow Resource. That the bundle is no longer available. They do still have some parts to it. But I'm going to point you to that one just so you can see the different parts that may work for you, that you may not need nothing but the student text and one more workbook and that's it. Or, you can decide you can see what parts they normally come with, which is a lot. Like it's so much, like a lot. Anyway, so this is a diagnostic assessment tool. I like it for the reading text for different levels, and then they show you how to score it and things like that. It's a nice tool to have just to kind of gauge their reading ability and score and things like that. So here you have like decoding accuracy, words in 3 minutes, minus errors, total correct, divide by line, and then tells you what their final score is, and it teaches you how to do this. So this is a great tool, especially if you're trying to make sure that your kiddo is able to transition to a traditional school setting, or maybe that's just something that's important to you, and that's totally okay. If that's important to you, don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Intervention assessment, this includes screening, diagnostic, progress monitoring, and assessment. This is the K through 6, so includes all these grades. So screening assessment, oral reading fluency, word identification, no nonsense words reading, diagnostic assessments, progress monitoring. This is again another one of those tools. So it's kind of very, it's up to you if you feel like you need it. So this is kind of like a quick little glance in there, and obviously it will tell you what grade this is relating to, and if you're looking for something that you can just gauge where your child is at, and you don't really care about what folks say, like, you don't need to worry where they're at, and you do because that's what we do, then this is a great tool to have as well. So these diagnostic assessment and performance these are things that I feel like if you feel like you need a tool to tell you where your kiddo is at and to gauge progress, then definitely these are nice tools to have. I'm going to show you a little bit of what the grade right below it looks like, and this is grade 5. Again, this only goes to 6th grade. I'm going to show you options that go that start in 6th grade all the way to 12, and that's like the next step. And then I have a few, and I'm going to do some comparisons. If you want to go the textbook route and you want to see the different approaches and which one fits your family, I'm going to do a comparison once I've done a full walkthrough of all the options. And we're going to go from there. So here, again, this is going to format the same way. So meet the challenge. If you're going to go online, you can see additional resources for these unit and the ones that you can access from them. And I'll just show you real quick again. And for example, the meet the challenge, and then you can go and look at these specific topics and kind of dig deeper and things like that. Write an informational essay, write a story, write an opinion essay, write a response to literature, and so on and so on. It's going to have that same introduction, hey, reading detective, this is what it's all about. It's going to give you a performance text preview. At the end of the unit, you will think about the text you'll have read. Then you will write a story about what might happen if you were to run for class president. I really, really like the fact that it tells the kiddos from the get-go, this is what's going to be expected for you at the end. It doesn't come to a surprise. They're prepared. They are grabbing those clues and things that they need. They're organizing their notes the way that they feel like they need to, and go from there. So you have the same thing, the vocabulary, read and comprehend parts, the target strategy. It had them draw this organizer before he even started reading the first story, which is from Wayside School is Falling Down, a package for Miss Jules. Come on, how many of you guys love the book? I read it now as an adult, and I was like, oh, whoa. It hit a little bit different as an adult. Okay, you have the anchor text. This is humorous fiction. Again, you're going through different types of genre. I really enjoy how this is a happy medium. You still, in essence, are literature based, but you just don't have to complete the entire story to be able to do the work. And if for those that are thinking, oh, but those type of robotic questions of what is the main setting, what is that? It goes beyond that. That's why I like Journeys. It really is, has the kiddos thinking, analyzing the text, point of view. Obviously the literary elements are there, but you still can have a brave writer lifestyle and use a textbook, my friends. You really can do things a little bit different and just make it fit for you. And leave what doesn't make sense to you and take what experiments and all that jazz as well. So review the selection. How can I experiment, clarify an idea? So it's bringing science and STEM and all that jazz into it, which I appreciate. Write about the reading, the writing tip, and then it has the comparison text. So you can do this part. And then again, it has, I'm just skipping along, the narrative writing. It has the revised draft. And this is what the final copy of what it's looking for. I like those clear and concise, this is what this is, and this is what you may produce. This is more of what your final copy should be heading towards, even if that's not anywhere where they're at right now. That's okay. If you are, we say, we're on a college prep track, if they choose differently, that's totally fine. Cool. But either way, we're going to prepare them that is a very viable option. So to me, it is important that they know all forms of writing, even if we have a very holistic approach to things. I think Journeys was a really nice, happy medium. I do have other textbook options that I'm going to be sharing about. And I'm very excited to share those options with you because it's going to be tailored to different types of learners, right? And one is very much more advanced type of text, and another is just kind of different perspective and different vibes. So make sure you stick around with me. If you have any questions, I know this was a lot to take in. I wanted to just lay it all out for Journeys in one video. Know that these are not all the elements and components that you can add to this. If you have questions of anything specific with this, or comments, or let me know you were here, just drop down in the comments down below. As always, it's a pleasure, you guys. I'll see you next time.